Is no Soundbites Allowed. I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today. Today is June 20th, and of course, I wanted to take time to come back home. I'm back in New York City, in the Bronx, and in fact, I happen to be in front of the Royal Hotel, which you can see in the background. This is one of those new developments created by the Democrats to be able to provide illegal immigrant housing. So I just want you to see, this is some of the things that we have seen developed by the Democrats. This is the improvement that we have seen to the Bronx, that we have seen to New York State and New York City in particular, the promise of having a better economy, better locale. Now, I want to be clear. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in this neighborhood. And I can tell you what this looked like in the 70s, and I can tell you what this looked like even 25 years ago. And none of this existed. None of this was what we see today. We have illegal immigrant housing. This motel that is behind me is filled with illegal aliens spending about $300 a day of your tax dollars for people who have broken the law. Across the street, what you can see is this used to be St. James Catholic High School, as well as a church. And what do you see in front of the church? You see a parking lot. You see a used car lot. There's children in the background, as you can see. This is part of the improvement that we have seen that have come from Democrats in improving the neighborhood. I'm going to walk through the neighborhood with you, but I also want to talk about what happened with Joe Biden today. Because we know that Hunter Biden, to be able to help his father, Hunter Biden has now taken the opportunity to admit the guilt that everyone knows about. You see, Hunter Biden, we know, signed documents illegally, had possession of a firearm illegally. We're told that's not a big deal. This shouldn't be something that we should worry about. We were told for years, it's not a big deal. It's being investigated. He really didn't intend to break the law. Yes, he did. He signed the documents fraudulently. He had possession of a firearm illegally. He got rid of the gun in the back of a school building. We know this. So what was this? Was this to be able to help Joe Biden? Was it to help Hunter Biden? Was it to help Hunter? This is about the 2024 election, quite honestly, as is everything that you're seeing right now, everything that's live in the Bronx. This is about our elections. This is about who's going to be in control and what they're going to do once they do get in control. Because as we can see, the modernization, the diversity and equity that took place here in the Bronx, you know what you're going to see as I'm walking on by? You're going to see on every single block a weed dispensary. Legal weed is in every single block in the Bronx. This is over by Gun Hill Road that I grew up in 25. What? I haven't been home in 25 years. I grew up here 50 years ago, and I can tell you, none of this existed. This was a middle-class neighborhood. This was a neighborhood filled with, well, everyone, but we didn't have this. It looks like a ghetto. It is a ghetto now because you have low quality, cheap goods, no diversity, no advancement. Everything is quick, easy, and it gives you no escape, no advancement. And that's what 2024 is about. Because this is the plan Joe Biden and the progressives have for the rest of America. And this is the Bronx. This is what you get to see. You get to see abortion clinics in your neighborhood. And that's going to help the environment, right? That helps because women are empowered and you can kill more babies in the Bronx than most of the populations of most cities in the world. Isn't that a benefit for everybody? Isn't that helpful? So when I see that Joe Biden is getting a get out of jail free card, when Hunter Biden is being given probation for illegally having a gun, for lying on federal documents, for his presumably in terms of his tax evasion, $1.2 million. You know, they threw Wesley Snipes into jail for less than that. Think about it. Wesley Snipes went to jail for embezzlement because his tax attorneys filled out the documents the wrong way for less than $1.2 million. He went to jail for 7 years. But Hunter Biden gets probation. Is that not a two-tier system? And this two-tier system isn't just about the big names that we see, whether it be Hunter Biden or Joe Biden. It's not just when it comes to guns and gun control and who gets to have the gun, who doesn't, but it's also about in the way we live our lives, where we get to have fast food restaurants of low quality food on every corner, where we get to have weed dispensaries on every single corner, when we get to have, what is it, 6 different hair salons on every single corner. Everybody's doing hair. These not lawyers, not doctors, not businesses that are growing. I mean, but one of the only businesses that have been around for the last 50 years that I've been in this neighborhood is across the street. There's the liquor store. I don't know if you can see it, but across the street, there's the liquor store there. That's been there for 50 years. That doesn't go away. But there used to be a movie theater right here, this block where I am right now. This used to be the location of a movie theater. God, there were 2 movie theaters in this neighborhood. You don't see that anymore. You see a lot of bodegas. There used to be 3. Now there's 2 or 3 on each and every single block. You don't see anything that's growth. You don't see anything that's development. But we need to worry about Hunter Biden, and we need to know that Hunter Biden needs to get probation. Probation. He needs to be let out because he's not a bad guy. I mean, take a look at this, guys. Do you see that behind me? I want you to think about that. What you're seeing behind me on this corner, I'm going to go over by the elementary school there. But what do you see behind me? The smoke and, what is it called? Smoke and chill. That is your mobile legal weed dispensary. That has nothing about the illegal drugs that still remain on almost every single street corner in front of every single weed dispensary. But you got a mobile weed dispensary here. How is that helping the economy? How is that helping people lift themselves up out of poverty? We have more God, there's just so much I'm trying to explain right now as I go through my old neighborhood, as I see what's changed in my neighborhood and how it has gotten worse, not better. They have everything that made this neighborhood worth having a family and everything that was good about when I grew up here. None of it exists anymore. And meanwhile, I get to see people like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden get away with crimes that no one in this neighborhood could ever get away with. I'm watching him. Think about it. $1.2 million, and Hunter Biden is getting probation so that they can bury the whole issue, so they don't have to talk about the fact that he is a criminal, that he may be connected to influence peddling around the world, not just with the Ukraine, but also with China. They don't want to have that conversation in 2024. Joe Biden's supposed to be the nominee for the Democrats. He's supposed to walk away free and clear. Robert F. Kennedy is not supposed to be able to touch him. And so this is all done. That's why they made this deal. That's why Hunter Biden, after trying to silence people by suing them, by threatening to sue them for actually talking about evidence that is already publicly known, that's why he suddenly turned around and said, no, I'll take the plea deal. I'll plead and say I'm guilty, which he is. He says he's guilty because this ends the story. So the news media doesn't have to cover it anymore. Because the next time the question comes up, they get to say, oh, this has been answered and done. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to go into the details of it. You don't have to investigate this anymore because he already pled guilty. He already got probation. It's over. The story is done. This is about telling you to shut up and not think about it. Just obey. Oh, he was a bad guy. He did something wrong. Yeah, but it wasn't that wrong. Let it go and keep on going. That's what the story is about. That's why they're talking about that. And you're not supposed to think about that. I find it quite interesting because it's very upsetting. And this is happening. And at the meantime, what you're not seeing, what's not being discussed, is what you're seeing in these neighborhoods, where you're seeing more and more low-income housing, where you see more overpopulation, you see more illegal immigrants in these communities, you see higher and higher crime. The crime level in this part of the Bronx that I grew up in from the 1970s today is significantly higher and significantly worse types of crimes. But no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to think about that. No, we're supposed to worry about 2024 because Marianne Williamson wants to hug everybody, sing Kumbaya, and have a bunch of crystals around her, and that'll bring world peace. Because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to stick his head in the sand and say that, well, no worries, we'll just be isolationists. You can't do that. Not when you're the superpower of the world. It doesn't happen. Think about what we've seen so far. Drug dispensaries on every single corner that is making our kids lazy, giving them no hope for the future. It is a distraction from the hope of the future. On every corner, mobile will come to your house to make sure that you're high and you're not thinking about your future and you're not considering it, and to distract you when you get upset, when it's stressful to see that your community has failed, that they're opening up motels in your neighborhood just so that illegal aliens can move in and have a higher quality of life than you have with your taxes. Instead of actually trying to deal with that and talk to any of the politicians about it, the answer is, don't worry, get high, you'll forget about it. Don't worry, get high and you won't think about it anymore. Just obey and we'll make it easy for you. We'll make it cheap for you. We'll make it on every single block, and it is on every single block. You know what? I'm in front of this is my old elementary school. And I'm not trying to show any kids here, but I want you to see this elementary school. It's amazing that they're renovating that. It's been around for well over 50 years. It was there before I was even born. And I can't really show you kids are in school right now, as you can hear. But I want you to think about this. This is the kind of neighborhood, 2 blocks, not even 1 block away. There are 4 weed dispensaries, plus guys on the corner selling drugs, plus a guy who's going to mobilely drive it over to you. That's 1 block away. What do they have to look forward to? Hey, maybe you can go and work at the local hair grooming store. Isn't that fantastic? Maybe you can sell braids as well. Isn't that something great? By the way, make sure to vote for Joe Biden. Why? Because he's going to make your life better. Is this what you call better? Is this what you call an improvement? We have more homeless in this neighborhood than I have ever seen in my lifetime. In fact, there were no homeless in this neighborhood even 25 years ago. There are today, and they're all illegal. We got guys who are doing cars. I can't really show it, but there's at least 6 different guys who are doing mechanic jobs on the side of the main road, Boston Road, as if it's his garage. 6 guys doing this. No one's bothering them. Police aren't stopping. That's a crime. That's not legal. That's not a business. Is that what you're supposed to look forward to? Every single one of them? Illegals who are doing this? What's going on with that? And no one even talk about that. I am upset about what happened with Hunter Biden. I am upset that he is getting away essentially scot-free. I am upset that he's getting a different tier of justice than you or me. Not because he's white, but because he's politically connected. That's the thing. He's a Democrat. His dad's president. That's why he gets away with that. Not because he's white. It's because he's got the right political connections. And they happen to be in power and they want to stay in power. It's very upsetting. And by the way, I'm live, so I can't see your comments there, folks, but I'm going to look at the comments afterwards. But I'm trying to give you a real view that you probably don't get to see. That the Bronx isn't all burned down. No, it isn't all crime. No. But this is the reality. This is the consequence when you just blindly vote down a political party line, especially for progressives and their ideology, and you don't think about what are the consequences of it. And look at what you're seeing here. I hope I can find some photos of what this neighborhood used to look like. The fact that we used to have a butcher store for fresh food. You don't get that. There is no fresh food in this neighborhood anymore. We used to have 2 churches, 3 churches. Now there's 1, and it has a car lot on it. We used to have, I'm just thinking back, 2 movie theaters. Now there's none. Think about how you lose your community as we are busy running faster and faster to the left and treating those on the left better and better, while the rest of our lives are losing the quality of life. That we're so busy trying to become more and more progressive that we're forgetting what we actually had. I mean, think about this. Here's something. This used to be, you can see that sign? Now, this park used to be fantastic. I remember that my brothers and sisters used to be in this park, and they would go and play. And you know what? You see no kids out there now. None. You see it's all locked off, no soliciting. They got a guard booth here. A guard booth. That never existed in my lifetime. Now, when I grew up, not after I grew up, not 25 years ago, but it's here today. That tells you how much crime there is. Here's the guard booth. Don't have to believe me. See it for yourself. That's the guard booth. That's for that community park. Just a little tiny park, too. It's not like there's anything in that park. And why do they have a guard booth here? Crime, drugs, and that's what the Democrats gave you. Oh, we're going to improve this. We're going to make it so much better. You need to have drugs on every single street corner. You need to make sure your kids can have access to drugs at any second, every single day. And what we're going to do is lock off the parks. We're going to lock off the places where the kids play. The crime is going to get so bad, the part they don't want to tell you about, the crime is going to get so bad that you're going to need a guard station to make sure those kids are going to be safe. So that community is going to be safe. They don't want to talk about that consequence of what they're doing, of what happens when you let illegal aliens into your community without any regard for that community. When you start building up motels for no reason. I mean, the Bronx is not the garden spot of tourism in New York State. Yet they're building up motels. Why? So they can put illegal aliens in there with your tax dollars. But I'm looking at Joe Biden, and I look at Hunter Biden, and I look at the news today, and I can tell you, every one of these kids who've been arrested in this neighborhood, all the criminals, all the drug dealers in this neighborhood, not one of them is going to get off on probation for having a gun in their possession, that they lied on federal documents. Not a single one of them is going to get probation. They're going straight to jail. If any of these kids are caught with that illegal money, which would be tax evasion, they're going to jail. They're not getting probation on that. That is, if they don't have the right politics, because that's always important. I believe this is the New York City 12th district. And right now, and I put this on Twitter yesterday, there is a Democrat who's running for this district right now. Do you know what she's looking to do? She's not looking to improve the quality of businesses in this area. She's not looking to improve the quality of looks, the way this neighborhood looks. She's not going to build new buildings. No, what she's saying is you have to vote for her because she's a woman. Think about that. She wants you to vote for her because she's a woman. Look at that. She doesn't want to fix that. That's not what the Democrats in the Bronx are running for city council. They're not trying to fix this and that garbage. They're not trying to fix the drugs. No. It's because she's black and a woman and you should vote for her. This is what progressivism gives you. This is the reality. This is the outcome that you get. Middle-class neighborhoods that turn into ghettos. That's what we're seeing here. And no one wants to tell you that. No one wants to walk through New York City, and especially in the Bronx, and actually tell you, look at what's happened in the last 50 years. Look at the way the businesses have absolutely fallen apart. There's nothing long-lasting. There's no upward mobility. There's no growth here. And you can see that throughout this entire neighborhood. Literally, the only businesses that have been here for the last 25 years, forget about the last 50 years. We used to have furniture stores. We used to have pool billiards halls. We have a bowling alley. That's still here. We have McDonald's. That's still here. But everything else is gone. It's just not here anymore. There's nothing of substance. Quick cellular repairs, hair braiding, African market, Best Pizza, let's see, Food Town, a jewelry store, money, check cashing. There's at least 3 different check cashing places in this area. You know what? You know what's one of the only things that's been around for the last 50 years? That. See this? That little mail container there? I remember that from the 1970s when I was riding a bicycle. I crashed into it coming down around the block at full speed down the hill and turned and hit it. That's still there for 50 years. Nothing else is still around. That's how this neighborhood has changed. I don't know, folks. But let me focus on Joe Biden. Let me focus on Hunter Biden. Let me focus on that because I'm in the Bronx, in my neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm looking at this and it looks like a ghetto. It looks like it's so depressing to me. It is so demoralizing to me. And the people here are so much better than what they are receiving. And what the Democrats, don't elect me because I'm a black woman. I'm the first black woman. I'm sorry. That's not a reason why you should be elected. You're not saying you're going to change this, that you're going to stop this from being more ghettofied. You're not saying you're getting rid of the illegal aliens that you're shipping into this community and the money that you're spending on building up hotels and putting the illegal aliens in there. That's money that could be going to revitalize this area. How about get some lawyers' offices in here, some business offices in here? There's about a third of the spaces here that are absolutely empty. None of the businesses that used to exist are here anymore. Instead, we got barbershops. I'm telling, which is great. But let me ask you, how many barbers do you need in a community? How many hair braiding locations do you need in a community? But they don't want to talk about that. And that's why when they look at Hunter Biden and they look at Joe Biden, they have to make them look nice. They need to make you feel like it's all okay. It's okay that Hunter Biden committed a federal offense, that he illegally took possession of a gun. He lied on federal documents to get that gun, and he endangered children in getting rid of those guns. Yeah, they don't want you to think about that. You're just supposed to say, oh, it's Joe Biden, it's Hunter Biden, it's okay. No one should, that's all right. It's not a problem. Yes, it is a problem. It is a massive problem. And we should be talking about that. And that doesn't mean we stop looking to Hunter Biden for all the crimes that he committed, like with the underage children that are on pictures of which are on his laptop while he was taking drugs. This was 2016, 2017. That's an issue. We need to deal with that because that's pedophilia. That's a crime, and we should be investigating that crime. How about this? We know that Hunter Biden was out there and he was selling his influence. He was selling access to his dad, Joe Biden, as vice president and potentially as president. We know that Burisma, he took money there. We know that Joe Biden was bragging about the fact that he was denying $1 billion to the Ukraine, which was corrupt even back in 2017, that he was giving them, he was blackmailing them to get his son off. And we know that there's what, $5 million, $10 million deals, $30 million deals. As they continue to look, the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger in the connection with China. Why aren't we investigating that? No, that's all done. It's done now because Hunter Biden said he was guilty and he got probation. He's going to walk. And we don't need to talk about it anymore. We don't need to look into it anymore. We can let this go. Just like you should let your community go. You should allow the drug dealers to be on every single corner. You should be selling in every single bodega. You should be able to buy illegal drugs so that your kids have access 24/7 to as many drugs as they want so they don't think. Not about their future, not about their community, not about the way everything is falling apart around them. I'm sorry, I want to talk about those things. I want to think about those things, and I have a problem with that. I mean, imagine going back to where you grew up and you see it's a ghetto. You see that the future that used to be ever present, that every kid had the opportunity, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, they all had the opportunity to improve their lives. They grew up in a safe neighborhood. I used to run up and down this block all day throughout the summer and throughout the year, up and down with a dozen of my friends. And when the sun got dark, lights came on, every single one of those parents would say, go home to your mom or else, because I'll call your mom. I'll let her know where you are. You better go home right now. That's what I grew up with. You can't do that now. Again, I showed you. The kids can't go to the park 1 block away without having security guards surrounding them to make sure that they're going to be safe. That's the improvement that Democrats brought to the Bronx. That your kids can't go 1 block to a park without having security there to make sure they're going to be okay because of drugs and because of crime. We have homeless in this neighborhood that didn't exist even 25 years ago, and we have it now. What changed? They built a motel and put in a bunch of illegal aliens that you're paying for with your taxes. But Joe Biden's doing a great job, and the economy's fantastic, and you don't have to worry about or even talk about whatever connection he might have with the Ukraine, whatever kind of connections he might have financially with China. You're not supposed to have that conversation. You're just supposed to say, thank you. Thank you for turning my neighborhood into a place that's not safe to raise kids. Thank you for turning my neighborhood into a ghetto that I have to worry about drugs on every single street corner. Gee, thank you so much. You've helped so much. No wonder you should be elected. And of course, that's why the Democrats for District 12 in New York City, in the Bronx, are running on not improving it, but because she's a woman. Because that's supposed to be a reason. That is supposed to be the reason. Think about it. There's nothing intrinsically. That doesn't mean she's smarter. That doesn't mean she's better. That doesn't mean she has a plan. It doesn't mean that she even cares. All it says is she's a woman. So what? Who cares? Aren't we in the future? Aren't the very same progressives, the very same Democrats that are telling us, hey, there is no gender. Men and women are absolutely equal. Then if we're equal, why are you running in District 12 of the Bronx and saying, oh, well, you have to elect me because I'm a woman? I think you said there's no difference. I think you said they were all equal. So why do we care? Why are you worried about that? What about your gender instead of worrying about what I have just shown you? Illegal immigration, homelessness, crime that has been rising significantly, exponentially over the decades, the lack of safety for our kids. We're looking at drugs that are addling their minds, and you're telling me that we have to elect you because of your gender? I'm sorry, your priorities seem to be off. And at the same time, the leader of the Democratic Party, the leader of the progressive movement, is Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, we're being told, and we have to just accept that he's involved in crimes, that his family is deeply mired in crimes and needs to be investigated. Something seems wrong here, folks, and I don't think it's me. I really don't. I ain't perfect. But in 55 years, I've seen the result. And I don't see this being an improvement. I don't see these being the promises fulfilled that the Democrats have told us. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Rainbows and sunshine. Did anything you just saw in this video look like rainbows and sunshine and happiness? Did you see a bunch of happy people running around? Did you see them having a higher quality of life? Go back over the years. Look at this neighborhood and look at the average income of people who lived in this neighborhood. We went from middle class to low poor. That's not an improvement. But they're telling you this is all better and that you should just ignore it, just allow it to happen like their leaders. Just accept it. Just accept that Joe Biden might be involved with crime, that he might be influence peddling, that this might be affecting international trade and therefore your life. Just accept that. Just accept that there are illegal aliens, people who are committing crimes that you're going to pay for. Those illegal aliens in the hotel that I started this video at, we're spending about $60,000 per person per year. That's double the income of this neighborhood. Double what they're making a year. We're spending on each and every one of those illegal aliens. Do you mean to tell me there's no better way to spend that money? That Joe Biden does just, well, I will tell you, he just doesn't care. Joe Biden just doesn't care. Because if they would come down to these neighborhoods. You don't see them come down in these neighborhoods. These elected officials don't come into these neighborhoods and say, hey, how you like it? Look at what I've done for you so far. You should re-elect me for all the things that are happening in your neighborhood right now. They're not getting elected for that. They don't come down because they know. This area used to have 4 banks, four branches in this neighborhood that I just walked through. Now there's 1. That's another way to tell you. your economy is failing. The businesses are failing. New York City is failing, and along with that are happening all the minorities that are affected by that. But we're not supposed to think of it. We're supposed to say, Hunter Biden, it's all over. Don't talk about it. It's no longer an issue. Just like the failure in the Bronx is no issue. You don't need to talk about it anymore. Just accept that it's changed, that we've settled this, and you can go on. The science is settled. It is done. He was guilty and he got to walk away. It's over. You don't need to talk about it anymore. Except it's really not. It's really not settled because there's so much more connected to this. And if we're just supposed to blindly affirm everything the politicians say, look at what we get. I just showed you a neighborhood. This is what we get when we just accept that the leadership said it's not a problem anymore. Let it go. When they say stop asking questions, when they say don't let it bother you, just go with the flow. Yeah, they did that to this neighborhood. Just go with the flow. And you've got weed dispensaries on every single corner. The most profitable business in this neighborhood, selling legal drugs. Not lawyers, not movie theaters, not banks, not butcher stores. There was a funeral home. There was a seamstress in the area. They had people who repaired shoes in the area. Yeah, all those businesses gone. None of that's it. Now you can sell drugs legally or illegally. That's your future. That's your kids' future. Surrounded by police, surrounded by security guards, fenced in. Is that really the future you want? Does that mean you just blindly affirm? No, we should be asking questions still about Hunter Biden and all of the crimes and all of the allegations that need to be fully investigated. The 400 charges, not three, 400 charges that the FBI have investigated and that are pending on Hunter Biden, also connected to Joe Biden. That should come to light. We should go through those charges. He should be charged with those crimes. We need to find out how deeply tied is Joe Biden to China, either through his son or otherwise, and we should investigate that. We have to question, why do we have an open door policy for illegal aliens when we have communities that look like this? Those illegal aliens, they're great. They're going to lift up everything. They're going to help our communities. Does this look like a community that's doing better? Because I can tell you, in the last 25 years, actually the last 10 years, the illegal aliens came in. Does this look like the areas improved? Does this look like it's the best that you can get? I'm sorry, it's not. Think about it. I'm showing you the proof of what happens. This is the result. These are the consequences. And they're not good. It's very difficult to come back to the Bronx after 25 years, a place that I grew up 50 years ago, and to see it like it is now. It's depressing. What's more depressing, what's more aggravating, is that the politicians just don't care. They just don't care. They don't care enough to show up in this neighborhood. They don't care enough to actually even pretend like they're going to fix it. No, they're saying, we're going to give you more and vote for me because of my gender, because that's the only thing they have to run on. No positives, no benefits, just affirm my gender. Just blindly affirm because they don't care, because they know, hey, it's a black neighborhood. They're all Democrats. They're going to vote Democrat anyway. So you don't have to try hard. You don't have to promise much. You don't have to give them much. It's kind of like the way the news media is looking about the news on Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. The New York Times, CNN, NBC know that most of their viewers are Democrats, if not progressives. They don't need to ask questions because they know their viewers don't care. They say Joe Biden's a great guy. The economy's falling apart, doesn't matter. Joe Biden's a great guy. His son's involved with all kinds of crime, may have his dad too, don't care. That'll be fine. They will keep going. See, that's the problem. Let's stop. Let's look at the reality of what's happening around us for a minute, and let's say to each other, yeah, actually, I do care. And I do want to ask questions. And I expect to have answers. And you know what? If you want to be elected, reach higher. Reach higher, do better. Because what you're doing right now, it's worse. And it is leading to worse and worse. It's a downward spiral. It's a vortex. And I'm seeing it live. You've seen it live. This is not the worst of this neighborhood that I'm showing you right now. It's very sober. So yes, that's a little bit. I'm talking a little bit about Hunter Biden. I'm talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about the international relations and all the investigations that need to go on. But I'm also talking about what's happening in our communities because one is connected to the other. When you blindly affirm one, you get the other. They go hand in hand. And low expectations only have low outcomes, low results. And you've seen it. And you will see more of it unless you want to ask questions, unless you want to challenge those who say, just blindly affirm, just fall in line, just vote straight down the line without a question because you have a D or an R behind your name. I'm sorry, you deserve better. Our neighborhoods deserve better. Our kids deserve a better future than what we are seeing happening right now. We're not moving forward. We're falling off a cliff backwards. And we're being told that as we fall backwards off the cliff, we're looking at the sky as the ground is quickly approaching us. That look at that, you're flying, you're in the clouds. No, you're just falling, you're just not seeing where you're going to land. At least this is what I think. But I always look forward to hearing what you have to say. This is No Soundbites Allowed. I'm Michael Boss in the Bronx, telling you the truth and showing you the truth. And let's hear what you have to say about it. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you again very soon. I'll have some more from here in New York in the next day. Thank you. How do I end that? Oh,